Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. It's me, Niall, here giving a quick reaction to what we've just seen from the Ariake Coliseum in Japan as the superstar TENSHIN NASUKAWA has maintained his perfect record by outpointing the very capable Victor Santillan over 10 rounds in the bantamweight division to surely leave himself on the verge of probably world title fights next. But yeah, before we get into this reaction, please make sure if you're not doing so already to drop a like on the video first of all, subscribe to our YouTube channel at ESBR Boxing and follow us on all social media. So yeah, let's jump in. Tenshin Nasukawa maintains his unbeaten record, 7-0 now with two knockouts after a 10-round unanimous decision win over a fighter that was seen as somebody that could kind of give him a proper test, probably the biggest test of his career so far. Of course, he's coming off Nasukawa coming off a win against former world champion Jason Maloney last time out by decision and a phenomenal performance. And this was an excellent performance as well. It wasn't as kind of showboat, it wasn't as flashy as the Maloney win, but it was a very disciplined, very mature performance. And he proved a lot in this fight in Nasukawa. From the start, the difference in speed was clear in hand speed. He just never let Santillan get into the sort of range where he could let his kind of Santillan's trademark combinations take head and body go. Very good body puncher, Victor Santillan, but Tenshin Nasukawa made him pay every time he tried to kind of get into that pocket and close the distance. As good as Santillan's timing is, he just couldn't live with the hand speed of the Japanese fighter. And it was incredibly impressive the kind of defensive capabilities of Tenshin Nasukawa today in what was, he didn't have his back against the ropes. He wasn't kind of, but it was the subtleties of his head movement to just kind of get himself out of range, just to ride the shots that Santillan was throwing and to get his gloves up to slip the shots. And yeah, he just kind of broke the spirit, broke the will of Victor Santillan with sharp, stinging combinations to head and body. Yeah, and it was a beautiful performance. Great footwork on show, great use of angles from tension, superb lateral movement. Yeah, it was just excellent, excellent performance all around. He overcame a cut that opened up over the left eye, and in the third round, I believe it looked like it was going to be a real problem with blood flowing into the eye. But the corner done a great job on that. But yeah, he was just way too quick for Santi Anthony and way too versatile and overcame what was supposed to be a proper test with flying colours once again. So yeah, the question is now what's next for Tenshin Nasukawa? 7-0 now, two knockouts, and it looks like it's going to be a world title. He's beaten former world champions comfortably. He's beaten fringe world level fighters comfortably now. So he's ready for it. He's only seven fights in, but if he's ready, put him in for it. And there's a lot of fascinating options, of course. The 118-pound division, full of Japanese stars. You've got the main event now coming up in a few minutes between Junto Nakatani and Ryosuke Nishida in a big unification bout. I expect Nakatani to come through that one, and maybe we'll see Tenshin and Junto next, although Junto seems to have kind of sights set on Inoue, to be honest with you. But there's Yoshiki Takai. There's a lot of talk about Tenshin Nasukawa fighting Yoshiki Takai for the WBO title next. I think that'll be a fascinating fight. Both former kickboxing stars from Japan, Takai undefeated also. And I think it'll be fascinating. And I think Tenshin Nasukawa beat Yoshiki Takai. He's way too well rounded. Takai, a bigger puncher, probably quick hands, but he's not as quick as Tenshin Nasukawa. He doesn't have the feet of Tenshin Nasukawa, and he doesn't have the head movement and the defensive kind of capabilities of Tenshin Nasukawa. He is way too easily hit for me. We've seen it against the Ego Higa. If Tenshin Nasukawa if the Ego Higa is landing the shots that he did, then Tenshin Nasukawa will pick him apart with counters. There's also Antonio Vargas, the WBA champion. Good fighter, big puncher, has the power to kind of offset Nasukawa if he can land. But I'd expect Nasukawa to kind of come through that as well. Then if it's not a world title fight next, of course, there's other interesting fights with other Japanese fighters. Takuma Inoue, former world champion, Sei Satsumi, former world champion, would be great benchmark tests for, great final benchmarks for if Tenshin is actually ready for a world title shot. But yeah, I think it will be. I think it'll be a world title shot at bantamweight. He deserves it. He's ready for it. He's supremely talented. He's probably, I made a statement in the kind of preview video on the channel that he's probably the best fighter I've seen so far transition from kickboxing into professional boxing, and that's saying an awful lot. The likes of the Klitschko's, the other former kickboxers that have transitioned, Caleb Plant, there's former world champions that have came from that world. But Tenshin Nasukawa has everything for me: as the fluidity, the footwork, the speed, the combination punching, the defensive capabilities. We see kind of kickboxers that come over that kind of don't have those defensive nuances that Tenshin does. He's just a joy to watch. The fluidity, the footwork and the hand speed is an absolute joy to watch. And yeah, today it was a disciplined, mature performance, and we seen it in the Maloney fight, and we seen it today that he's getting better with every fight as well. So yeah, if he does fight for a world title next, he's more than capable of winning one. He really is. He's a phenomenal fighter. As I say, I think it'll be Yoshiki Takai. But for this Junto Nakatani, he is the WBC #1 ranked contender. So for this Junto Nakatani, if he comes through with Suki Nishida coming up in a few minutes, that'll be a fascinating fight as well. But yeah, that's for another video, I suppose. That was just my quick reaction to Tenshin Nasukawa maintaining his unbeaten record over 10 rounds against the very game Victor Santillan of the Dominican Republic. Yeah, wide decision victory. Brilliant performance from Tenshin Nasukawa in all aspects there today at the Ariake Coliseum in Ariake, Japan. So, yeah, let us know what you think in the comments. What did you make of that performance? How did you score it? And how did you rate the performance of Tenshin? And most importantly, can he win a world title if it is next? Or does he need a little bit more time? Let us know what you think in the comments as always. Get involved down below. And as I said at the start of the video, please, we'd appreciate it if you could drop a like on this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel at ESBR Boxing, and follow us on all social media. Until next time, take care.